This integrity session is for Spanish 101 distance learning. Today we're talking about pronombres, or in English, pronouns. This is coming from lesson 1 in the Vistas 3rd edition, pages 19 and 20. 19, 20. Pronouns in Spanish follow the same pattern as the English pronouns. Yo is always first. Yo in English meaning I. Tú in English meaning you. Familiar. And as we talk about this, for the next couple of weeks, we'll talk about the difference between the familiar and the formal. In English, we don't have a familiar and a formal you, but in Spanish and other Romance languages, they do. You, familiar, would be used with people that you know, people that you're familiar with. It can be used with people who are younger than you, etc. In opposition, in Spanish, there is the word usted, and it is abbreviated in Spanish UD, and you'll see it more often abbreviated than not. Usted means you, formal. And you would use the word usted when you're talking to someone who's older than you are, someone that you want to show more respect to, maybe a clergyman, maybe a boss, maybe friends of your parents, grandparents, etc. Anyone that you would like to be more formal with, people you meet on the street, in business situations, I would use the word usted. Tú is reserved again for people that you're familiar with, family members, friends, neighbors, etc. There's the word él in Spanish, and notice that this word él has an accent over the E. This in English is equivalent to the word he. You get the word ella, which is equivalent to the word she. The double L in Spanish is always a Y sound, so this word is ella. You have the words nosotros, and you have the word nosotras. Both of these mean we. Nosotras is feminine. Nosotros is masculine, or it can be a mixed group. So if you have male and female in a group and you want to say we, then you automatically default to the masculine. So you would say nosotra, nosotros. If you have a group of just females and you want to say we, then you would say nosotras. Or again, if you have a group of just males, you would say nosotros. But in Spanish, you always default to the masculine if you have a male and a female in a group. Alright, then you have the words vosotros and vosotras. The same principle applies. Vosotras is feminine, vosotros is masculine, or it's a mixed group. What this literally translates as is you, plural. You, plural, and familiar, meaning that you're familiar with all these people, you know them, they might be relatives, friends, neighbors, etc. And you're talking to more than one. This one right here, tú, is the singular when you're only talking to one person. Vosotros is the plural when you're talking to more than one. The vosotros in the South, we use the words y'all when we're talking to a group of people. You could say you guys, you all, etc. Vosotros and vosotras, however, are not widely used in Spanish books today. Vosotros and vosotras are typically still only used in Spain, certain parts of Spain, and in certain parts of South America. In this book, they teach you the vosotros form and the vosotras form, and they teach you what to look for, how to tell which verbs are in the vosotros or vosotras form. But for speaking purposes and for activity purposes, they do not use the vosotros and the vosotras, because again, it's typically only used in Spain and in certain parts of South America. If you're trying to learn Latin American Spanish, what I mean by that is be more fluent in Mexico, Central America, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, etc. The vosotros and the vosotras are not widely used, so it's not necessary that you know how to use them. Alright, the other pronouns that we have left are the words ellos, ellas. Both of these are they. Again, ellas being feminine, ellos being masculine, or if you have a mixed group of people. If I'm talking to about a classroom and I want to say they need to bring their books tomorrow, then I would say ellos, because 99.9% of the time I have a mixed class of male-female. Alright, and the last one that we need to talk about is the word ustedes. And ustedes is abbreviated UDS. Remember up here we said that tú was the singular of vosotros. Tú is one person, vosotros is more than one. Here, usted is the singular of ustedes. Ustedes means basically the same thing as vosotros, except it's formal. So this is you, plural, and formal. Again, we say y'all, you all, you guys, etc. This one, ustedes, is more widely used throughout Central America, Mexico, Central America, South America, due to the fact that when you speak to a group of people, a lot of times you don't have an entire group of people who you can use the familiar with. So you have a mixed group. Some people you want to be more familiar with, some people you want to be more formal with. So what they do is they default all the time to the formal to make sure that they don't offend anyone. Now, in my travels through Central America, South America, etc., a lot of times I will start a conversation with people that I want to use the usted with, and I will start the conversation with the usted, and what they will tell me is that please don't use the usted, use the tú form with me, be more familiar or more friendly with me. It's similar in the South. A lot of times we use the words ma'am and sir, and some people don't like you to call them ma'am or sir, so they want you to be more familiar, call them by their first name or miss so-and-so. So it's a similar concept, but in Spanish these are the pronouns. Let me clear this page up for you a little bit. So you have the pronouns here. You have yo, you have tú, you have the pronouns él, ella, usted, you have nosotros, you have vosotros, and then you have ellos, ellas, and ustedes. And these are the pronouns, and these pronouns are always going to be in this order. From here up, you have singular pronouns. And for nosotros down, you have the plural pronouns. The reason that I've grouped them together like this is because in a minute when we look at our first verb form, our verbs are going to be grouped in this manner. Yo is always going to be first, and it's the first section. Tú is always going to be the second. The él, ella, and usted are combined together for the third. Nosotros is fourth. Vosotros is fifth. And the ellos, ellas, and ustedes are combined together for the sixth. Alright, let's look at our first verb in Spanish. What we're going to be talking about is the verb ser. Now the verb ser in English translates to this here, to be. And what we're going to do with this verb is we're going to conjugate it. We're going to put our pronouns back in order the way we had them on the previous page. Alright, just like when we conjugate the verb to be in English, we have to change the form of the word be. Because in English, we don't say I be, you be, he be, she be, we be. What we say in English is I am, you are, he is, she is, etc. So the same thing is going to happen in Spanish. We have to change that verb form, and that's what's called conjugating the verb. Anytime that you want to say I am with this verb ser, you're going to say yo soy. That's I am. So you could create a sentence. You could say yo soy una mujer. I am a woman. You could say yo soy una profesora. I am a teacher. You could say yo soy norteamericana. I'm North American. You can say yo soy de Alabama. I'm from Alabama. Alright, the tú is this. Tú eres is you are. And in lesson 1 you looked at a phrase that said de donde eres, where are you from, or from where are you? So you've seen the word eres before. The word eres, meaning you, let me get that off. Alright. The word eres, or tú eres, meaning you are, is the familiar. So you use this if you're talking to your sister maybe, and you wanted to say you are nice. Tú eres simpática. Or if you wanted to say, or if you wanted to ask maybe a new friend at school, where are they from? De donde eres. Alright, the word él, which means he. If you want to say he is, it's él es. If you want to say she is, it's ella es. And if you want to say you formal are, it's usted es. And that's the formal. And again, you're going to use that with people that you do not know, people you want to show more respect to maybe, etc. Alright, for the nosotros, if you want to say we are, it's nosotros somos. If you want to say y'all or you all are, it's vosotros sois. If you want to say they are, it's ellos son or ellas son. Or if you want to say you all are, it would be ustedes son. So what you need to do for this first verb is you need to memorize it in the order in which it's written. The first thing really that will help you in Spanish is if you memorize these in this exact order. Because the pronouns are never going to change. They're always going to be in that order. Every verb that you conjugate in this entire series is going to be in this order. Yo is always first, tú is always second, the él, ella, and usted is always third, nosotros, fourth, vosotros fifth, and then the ellos, ellas, and ustedes combination is sixth. Once you memorize those in order, the next thing that you can do is memorize this verb in order. Soy, eres, es, somos, sois, son. Soy, eres, es, somos, sois, son. That way, when you've got your pronouns memorized, if you learn this verb memorized in this order, then you know which verb goes with which pronoun at all times. And this is just to start you off with verb forms in Spanish. Alright, so for example, if you want to say, she is American, you would say in Spanish, ella es americana. If you want to say, we are teachers, then you would say, nosotros somos profesores. You can follow along with these verb forms on page 20 in your book if you would like to. If you wanted to say, for example, let's say David is we'll say handsome. Alright, David is a noun. If you want to change that to a pronoun, in English we would say he is. So you can write this sentence like this. David es guapo. And the reason that we used es is because David would correspond with the pronoun él, so we use that verb form. If we say David and John are handsome, David and John would correspond to the pronoun they in Spanish, which is the word ellos. So the verb that goes with ellos is the word son. So to write this sentence in Spanish, you would say, David y Juan son guapos. Son meaning are, corresponding to they are. If you said, David and I are from Alabama, David and I is the same thing as saying we. So you would say this way. You could say David y yo, David and I somos de Alabama. David and I, we are from Alabama. The reason we chose somos is because somos is the verb that goes with nosotros. Nosotros meaning we. Alright, one last thing. Let's talk about making a sentence negative. To make a sentence negative in Spanish, what you do is you put the word no in front of the conjugated verb. Okay, for example, we just said David y yo somos de Alabama. We are from Alabama. If you wanted to say David and I are not from, we are not from, somos is your conjugated verb, so we need to insert the word no right there. So your sentence would be David y yo no somos de Alabama. And that's how you make a sentence negative in Spanish. You put the word no in front of the verb that's conjugated. So if you say yo soy americana, I'm American, there's your conjugated verb. So if you want to say I'm not American, then you would put no there, and your sentence would be yo no soy americana. Or you could say ella no es profesora. That's the word is, that's the conjugated verb. We put the word no directly in front. Ella no es profesora. Alright, this concludes the Integrity session on pronouns, the verb ser, Spanish 101.